Hello and welcome back to your daily English dose. Today we are diving deep, really deep, not just into practicing your English, but into the kind of life that those high-level skills can actually unlock for you anywhere in the world. Our mission today, it's focused on what many ambitious learners see as, well, the ultimate prize, the freedom to work from pretty much wherever you want. We're unpacking this whole global phenomenon, the digital nomad or DN. We've got quite a stack of sources here looking at the trend, the amazing freedom it offers, but also the specific high-value skills you really need to master. And crucially, the steps you can take starting today to move towards this unique career path. It's all about using English to open those global doors.
It really is an aspirational topic. And yeah, we need to be precise about what we mean. Freelancer is a term we all know, but digital nomad, it's broader than that. It's not just someone working remotely from home. It's really a professional who intentionally, strategically integrates travel, life, and their career, all using digital tech. They're basically chasing a whole new lifestyle, one where, geography just doesn't dictate where or how they work.
Okay, but here's the interesting bit of history. I mean, the idea has been floating around in niche tech circles for ages, so why now? Why did it suddenly become this huge global thing?
Well, that big shift, the real tipping point, was definitely accelerated by the necessities forced on us by the pandemic. You had this rapid global move to working from home. It pushed everyone onto tools like Zoom, like Teams, almost overnight. And that massive unplanned experiment, it proved pretty conclusively that huge parts of the global economy don't actually need a physical office to function. So that whole experience normalized remote work and turned the DN model from a niche idea into, well, a permanent global trend. If you're learning English for international opportunities, understanding this DN structure is key. It's the future of work.
Okay, right. So let's unpack that foundation. If the pandemic was the catalyst, what were the sort of underlying forces already there that let this explode from a dream into a real career path? Our sources point to like a critical combination of three things: technical, economic, and social.
Yeah, the technical stuff absolutely had to be there first. I mean, think about it. High-speed, reliable internet isn't just a nice-to-have anymore. It's basically a global utility now. Then you layer on cloud services, tools like Slack for collaboration, all these advanced communication platforms. They built the foundation. Distance just became almost irrelevant for a lot of business operations. You really can work effectively with a team in London from, say, a cafe in Bali.
But hang on, there's a big technical catch here that our sources really stress. It's not just about having the tools, it's about security knowledge, right? Like mandatory security knowledge.
Exactly. That's crucial. You don't have the company IT department down the hole anymore. Knowing how to use VPNs properly, how to encrypt your data, especially on public Wi-Fi, that's now the baseline to your personal responsibility. It's sort of the price of admission for that technical freedom.
Okay, so technical foundation plus personal security skills. Let's talk economics. This seems like a clear win-win, doesn't it?
It often is. On the company side, yeah, they save potentially huge amounts on office rent, utilities, maintenance,
Yeah.
all that overhead.
And for the individual, that's where the strategy comes in.
It's a powerful financial play. You could be earning, say, a decent salary based on a Western market rate, but you choose to live somewhere, the cost of living is dramatically lower. Maybe Southeast Asia, maybe parts of Latin America. That difference, that arbitrage, instantly boosts your disposable income. It directly funds a better quality of life or allows you to save or invest more. Plus, like you said, companies get access to talent globally. They can hire the absolute best person for the job, not just the best person who happens to live within 50 miles.
Which brings us to the social factor. And this, I think, especially for our listeners who are putting in the hard work, learning English for bigger goals, this is the real engine behind it all. It's not just about money. It's about wanting control, wanting autonomy.
That's absolutely the core motivation we see. The generations entering the workforce now, or even those who've been in it a while and seen the burnout, they're demanding something different from work.
Yeah.
There's this really strong desire for better work-life balance, and maybe even more powerfully, a rejection of being tied to one specific place just because of your job. The DN life directly taps into that modern need for flexibility, for autonomy, especially in, this era of constant change and uncertainty.
And what's really fascinating is how perfectly those benefits, that freedom, align with why someone might be learning English in the first place: to access a global life, global opportunities. It feels like the ultimate expression of that aspiration.
Definitely. We can break down that why, the rewards, into maybe three key areas. First, just the sheer freedom. Complete control over your time, your location,
Yeah.
managing your own day,
Yeah.
that's incredibly valuable to people.
Second, and this is huge for personal growth, is the cultural immersion. This isn't just a 2-week holiday. You get the chance to actually live in different places, experience diverse cultures firsthand, really broaden your perspective. It can fundamentally change how you see the world, all while you're still building your career.
And third, back to the practical side, the financial strategy. Like we mentioned, cutting living costs means your income stretches much further. That directly supports a better work-life balance because maybe you don't have to work quite as many hours or you can afford more experiences.
But, okay, this freedom sounds amazing, but it definitely comes with a big price tag, doesn't it? Professional responsibility. I know lots of listeners dream about this, but isn't there a risk you're just trading one boss for like hundreds of demanding clients? The pressure could actually be higher.
That is absolutely the central tension. Maintaining that freedom requires overcoming some really significant challenges, mostly around self-reliance. We have to be realistic and look at the shadow side too.
Yeah, the sources we looked at consistently bring up social isolation. That seems to be the most, maybe, insidious threat. Loneliness, struggling to build strong social ties.
It's very common when you're moving around frequently, putting down deep roots, building those meaningful connections. It's just incredibly difficult. You have to be really intentional about it. Actively seeking out community, whether it's joining co-working spaces, finding local interest groups, connecting online, it's vital for mental health.
And then there's the money worry, the financial risk.
Right. Since most DNs are essentially running their own small business, as freelancers or solopreneurs, income can be unstable, peaks and troughs. If you lose a big client unexpectedly, that can throw your whole budget, your whole life plan into chaos pretty quickly. So building stable, ideally diversified income streams isn't just a good idea. It's absolutely essential for long-term survival.
We also see potential friction, right? Especially
Right.
when DNs work with companies in more, let's say, traditional corporate cultures. Japan comes up as a key example. That office-centric hierarchical culture must be a huge hurdle sometimes. Oh, absolutely. It can be a massive barrier. Even if a Japanese company says it allows remote work, their internal systems, their management style, might not really be set up for it. Things like effective communication protocols or proper support systems like mentoring for remote team members, that organizational follow-up is often missing. So the DN needs to be prepared not just to do their job, but to navigate those cultural expectations, maybe even gently educate their clients or colleagues on how remote collaboration can be productive. That takes real cultural sensitivity and, frankly, very high-level communication and negotiation skills, which again brings us back to why strong English is so critical in these global contexts.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical and interesting, especially for anyone listening who's planning their next career move or upskilling. If you want this kind of freedom, what specific skills beyond mastering English, which is a given, should you be focusing on right now? Well, the jobs best suited are ones where the work itself, the deliverable, is purely digital. Location just doesn't matter for the output. So we're looking at primarily technical roles or jobs based on creating high-value digital content.
Right, so the obvious ones, web development, IT engineering, building and maintaining the digital world is always in demand. But also those high-level communication roles, yeah. Things like writing, editing, maybe freelance journalism or content strategy, technical writing too.
Exactly. And don't forget the visual side. Graphic design, user experience, or user interface design. Making things work well and look good online. And of course, digital marketing is huge. Every company needs to reach people online. Finally, things like online education, maybe even language instruction itself, leveraging those communication skills directly. All these roles inherently need that global perspective and really solid online English communication.
So those are the types of jobs. But just having the technical skill isn't enough, is it? Success seems to hinge on developing what you called the solopreneur skill set. You have to stop thinking like an employee and start acting like a business.
Precisely. It's about total technical autonomy first. Complete mastery of your tools, cloud storage, communication apps like Slack or Teams, project management software like Asana, Jira, Trello, whatever your field uses. And we already hammered this point, but yeah, that mandatory self-managed security knowledge is absolutely part of that technical autonomy, non-negotiable.
But the skills that really seem to protect that freedom, the ones that tackle that income instability problem head on, are the business and financial skills.
Yes. This is where many technically brilliant people fall down. You have to master basic financial management. You need to understand cash flow, budgeting, invoicing, and you need at least a working knowledge of international tax principles. For instance, some of our sources aimed at, say, an ambitious Japanese audience specifically recommend acquiring knowledge equivalent to their Nishogoki qualification.
Okay, and for our broader global audience, what does that translate to? What's the core idea there?
It means getting comfortable with bookkeeping, basically. Financial literacy. You need to be able to track your income and expenses accurately, understand profit margins on different projects or clients, and know enough to file your taxes correctly in whatever jurisdictions you're liable. And beyond the numbers, it's about those other business skills, understanding contracts, what you're signing up for, knowing how to find and pitch new clients, and being able to negotiate your rates effectively.
Yeah.
It's like you said, the technical skills might get you the gig, but it's the business skills that allow you to stay free and thrive long term. And if we zoom out, look at the bigger picture, you see governments actually competing now. They're strategically trying to attract these high-value DNs, which naturally sets a pretty high bar for who qualifies.
Japan's new Digital Nomad visa is a perfect example of this, right? Launched just this year. It's a great, maybe aspirational goal for some listeners, but the bar is high. To get that 6-month stay, you need to prove you have an annual income of, what was it, 10 million.
That's right, 10 million, which is roughly $64,000 USD at current rates. And crucially, that income has to be verified as coming from remote work performed for entities outside Japan. The very strategic requirement, Japan isn't trying to attract everyone. They're specifically targeting high-income, high-spending individuals. The visa is relatively short, 6 months, and typically non-renewable because the goal seems to be maximizing the economic benefit, people spending money, while strictly minimizing any potential burden on their Social Security or healthcare systems. They want the spending, not necessarily the long-term resident.
Okay, so that's one model, high bar, short stay. How does that compare to countries that seem to be playing a longer game, trying to attract DNs who might actually settle down and integrate more?
Well, look at Portugal. They've really leaned into attracting DNs and remote workers, and they've adjusted their visa options over time. They offer routes that can lead to permanent residency after 5 years of continuous legal residence. That's a huge draw for DNs who are thinking longer term, maybe wanting to buy property, really build a life somewhere. Plus, Portugal has a reputation as a growing startup hub. It has decent infrastructure, fast internet in the main cities, and some attractive tax regimes, at least initially.
But this is where the planning gets really tricky, isn't it? Understanding the rules, the compliance side of things. You mentioned taxes.
Yeah, crucially. You have to understand residency rules. In Portugal, like in many, many countries, if you physically stay there for more than 183 days within a single calendar year, you are generally considered a tax resident.
Okay, the 183-day rule. What does that actually mean for your wallet, though?
It usually means you become liable to pay Portuguese income tax on your entire global income, not just money you might have earned from Portuguese clients. That changes the whole financial equation. You might be saving on rent compared to London or New York, but suddenly you could have significant tax obligations in Portugal. You absolutely need professional tax advice to navigate that kind of cross-border situation. This is the fundamental difference between just, taking an extended working vacation and actually running a sustainable, legally compliant international business or career.
And then you have emerging hubs, places like Medellin in Colombia. They seem to offer a different kind of appeal again, right? More about affordability combined with a high quality of life, maybe for people planning further ahead.
That's exactly. Medellin has become really popular. It offers a very attractive cost of living, much lower than Europe or North America, but with surprisingly modern infrastructure in many areas, a really vibrant culture, and a growing tech scene. But a key factor, especially for DNs who aren't just young solo travelers anymore, maybe they have families or they're thinking about health and aging, is access to good quality, affordable healthcare. Medellin scores well there. That healthcare security is a massive factor for anyone planning to sustain this lifestyle, not just for a year or two, but as a genuine life stage.
So wrapping this all up, what does this mean for you, our listener, especially if you're investing time in your English to unlock these possibilities? The takeaway seems clear. The future of work is definitely more mobile, it's more flexible, but it's also intensely competitive. That freedom you're seeking, it's out there, it's achievable, but it demands a really high level of professional responsibility, skill, and constant vigilance.
I think the biggest risk for someone who achieves this lifestyle isn't necessarily failing, but stagnating. The world changes fast. The effort you put in today mastering those high-value skills, including the English communication that opens all these international doors, that's your real investment in future freedom.
We talked about current in-demand skills like web dev and digital marketing, but we should probably quickly touch on what's next, right? Tech doesn't stand still. Companies are looking beyond just websites now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to be committed to constant learning, constant digital upskilling. Think about the impact of AI, artificial intelligence. It's reshaping almost every knowledge work job. Then there's the IoT, the Internet of Things, connecting everything, and RPA, robotic process automation, which is designed to take over routine, repetitive tasks. If a significant part of your remote job can be easily automated by RPA, well, your freedom might be more fragile than you think. Professional autonomy in the future means mastering the tools that create value, not just operate existing systems.
Okay, so let's finish with a quick checklist for anyone aspiring to become a digital nomad. First, build professional autonomy. That means mastering the business side, finance, contracts, client management, not just your core skill.
Second, security is absolutely non-negotiable. Internalize it. Use VPNs, encrypt data, practice good digital hygiene. You are your own IT department and your own security chief.
Third, understand international compliance. Get familiar with tax residency rules like the 183-day threshold. Be prepared for high financial bars like Japan's whole 10 million income requirement, and understand visa and insurance needs.
And fourth, maybe the most overlooked, actively maintain social connection. You have to deliberately fight the risk of isolation. Join communities, connect with people online and offline. Longevity in this lifestyle depends on it.
So here's the final thought to leave you with, something to really mull over. The crucial question isn't just where you want to work from next year. It's whether the skills you're building, the effort you're putting in right now, including leveling up your English, are genuinely building a resilient, adaptable, long-term international career. Or if you're just funding a really exciting but potentially very fragile trip. The choice and the responsibility is yours. That's it for today's deep dive. Keep up your daily dose of English and keep pushing forward with your learning.